Very typical question. They tell you a point, and it's on the terminal arm, the terminal point. So I go and I label said point. Here is -1, -4. And it's on the terminal arm, so I draw that terminal arm. And every time you have a point, very important is that you go back to the nearest x-axis and you make a triangle where you can label your reference angle. This is the actual angle theta in blue. Angle theta starts here and ends there. But if I go back to my nearest x-axis, I make a right-angled triangle, and because I know this point is -1, -4, does it make sense that this length is 1 and this length is 4? Yep. Sometimes people label negatives on the triangle. I just label lengths. I always use positive values. You're going to get so good at a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Can you do that in your head? Square root of 17. Because 4 squared is 16, 1 squared is 1. Add them together, get square root of 17. And if you can draw this triangle, you can tell me what sine of theta is. Well, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite's 4, hypotenuse is root 17. And because it's in quadrant 3, it needs to be negative. I have good news for grade 12. In grade 11, you would have lost marks for not simplifying, because in grade 11 you were taught to be simplified, you can't have a square root in your denominator. That is still true, but in grade 12 they say, we know you know how to do that, right? Remember this, where you would multiply by square root of 17 and square root of 17 and get -4 root 17 over 17? That's also a right answer. A multiple choice that would probably look like this. But for you, you can keep the square root on the bottom. Same thing, cos. Quadrant 3, it's going to be negative. Adjacent. Right? That's why they're important to label your reference angle, because your adjacent is 1, hypotenuse is 17. Tan. Opposite over adjacent, 4 over 1. You leave it like that, or just write 4. But now we can do the others really easily, because cosecant of theta is the reciprocal of sine. And the shortcut is your answer just becomes flipped. Secant is the secant is the reciprocal of cos. Shortcut, just flip the answer. This is where you're going to get confused on what you're allowed to flip and what you're not. And cotangent, of course, is 1 over 4. Questions for practice on this one, number 8.
I have a question to cite